Pastor Allen back in my kitchen again to close out our amazing Instant Pot series here at the first Grapevine Culinary Institute. Don't forget to let us know that you watch this or subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can be entered into a drawing to win one of these for yourself. Now, as you know, or if maybe you don't know, you need to go back and watch them all, but we started with one chicken and we're making 3 meals. So we had roast chicken, we had jambalaya, and tonight we're going to, or today, whenever you're watching this, we're going to be making Thai chicken soup. Now, we have all the broth from when we made the roast chicken, so you can make regular chicken noodle soup with celery and onions and carrots and regular noodles, but we decided to kind of change things up a little bit, so I'll tell you what we have in the way of ingredients. We've got carrots, red peppers, mushrooms, and onions all sliced thinly. These are just some of our favorite vegetables. You can literally add anything to this soup vegetable-wise. We've got Thai curry paste. Now, we like green. You can also use red if you like. We've got ginger. We've got sesame oil, fish sauce, 1 can of coconut milk, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, cilantro chopped to taste, fresh lime. We've got 2 of these bricks of ramen noodles. That's right, the 25-cent cheap ramen noodles that you can get at any grocery store. Throw away the seasoning packet because that's just a bomb of sodium right there. We're just going to use the noodles on this. And we have about 8 cups of that homemade chicken broth that we had. So to begin things here, we've got this Instant Pot on the Saute Function. I'm going to add olive oil. You can add canola oil, any kind of vegetable oil, and just a little bit of sesame oil because it's got a good flavor, but it also has a low smoke point. So you don't want to use that as your primary oil to saute things in. And we're going to add our vegetables to the pot. And I realize I don't have anything to stir this with, so I'm going to step out of the frame for 1 moment. So we're going to be basically just sauteing these real quick on the saute mode. Now, you notice I didn't include the words salt with that. We're not going to add any salt to this because typically in Asian cooking you don't add table salt because a lot of their condiments already have a high level of sodium in it. And we're going to use fish sauce, which is a very salty, strong flavor, and it's going to give us plenty of that salt flavor that we need. Now, fish sauce is an ingredient that if you like Thai food, Vietnamese food, you'll be familiar with. A little fun fact, if you want to know how it used to be made hundreds and hundreds of years ago, they would take a clay pot, they meaning those in Southeast Asia, they would take a clay pot and they would get fish heads. So like when they caught the fish and they filleted the fish and used that for their cooking, they would take the head and they would put that in the clay pot and they would dig a hole in the ground and they would bury that pot in the ground for years. And that fish head would basically break down and ferment and change into something that is the old ancestor of today's fish sauce. Now, they don't do that anymore, but nonetheless, that is just a little bit of culinary history for you. So these vegetables are sauteing up really nicely. We've also got, as one of the ingredients that I did not mention that we're going to add at the end, is what was remaining of the chicken that we took off the bone when we roasted it the first time. We used half of it for the jambalaya. We're going to use the other half of what was left for tonight's soup. So ginger, if you want to get it yourself and chop it fresh, that's fine. I find we use quite a bit of ginger around here, so I use this little tube of chopped ginger paste. It's a really wonderful flavor. We really love the ginger, so we're going to add that to this and kind of bloom those flavors a little bit so that that is in the hot pan. And something else you want to add early on is the chili paste. Now, this is something that I'm not going to give you amounts on because this is how much. It's completely up to you how much you want to add. If you like it hot, add a lot more. If you just want a little bit of flavor, don't add much at all. So it's completely up to you. I'm going to add probably about maybe almost a tablespoon to the pot. And when you add it to the pot, you're going to want to, again, saute it a little bit and spread it around because you want to bloom those flavors. And when I say bloom, when you use fresh spices or chili pastes or any of those types of things, what you want to do is add that to a hot pan with a little bit of oil, and that's really going to open up the flavors. It's going to open up the aromas. And man, you can really smell this chili paste and the ginger as it's cooking in here. Really, really, really nice. Okay, so now this has been sauteed. We're going to add our chicken broth. Again, about 8 cups worth. So we've added that. We're going to add about half of a fresh lime. A little bit of juice for that. It's going to be really nice. Now when we serve this soup, we're going to use that to that, and we're also going to add cilantro at this point. But when we serve the soup, we're going to also have fresh cilantro and fresh lime to add because it's something that you want to add. So you want a kind of a double-edged thing, if you will. We're going to add the brown sugar at this point, and we're going to add the fish sauce. And again, this is one of those things. Smell it, know it. If you want to use a lot, use a lot. If you want to use a little, use a little. But this is going to be one of the flavors that really gives it. So I'm going to give about, well, as Justin Wilson used to say, about that much. So there's that. We're going to stir it all up. So at this point, we just have the liquid and the vegetables in here. We're going to hold off on the coconut milk. We're going to hold off on the chicken. And we're going to hold off on the noodles until the next stage. And this isn't going to take long at all. We're basically just want to cover this and Instant Pot it. And that'll bring up some flavors and kind of basically cook the vegetables and combine all the flavors together. So again, working backwards, I'm going to see if I can't get this to hop on. And so what you want to do is basically is to just seal this, turn it on. You're going to set it manual for about 8 minutes. Make sure that it's sealed and let it go. We got all kinds of Star Trek things flashing on the front of this Instant Pot right now. So this is one of those times in television where you say, this is what you're going to do, and this is how it's going to be. Seal it, set it for 8 minutes, and forget it. And we'll be right back once we figure all this out and show you how we finish this amazing soup. Okay, so that was 6 minutes on the Instant Pot. I did not do a natural release, so as soon as that timer went off, I manually released it and let it come out. So now we've got this amazing, flavorful Thai soup broth here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to add that coconut milk, the whole can. We're going to add our chicken. And we're going to bring this up to a boil using the Saute function. So we're going to hit Saute again. And that's going to bring this up to a simmer. And once everything is really blended together and this begins simmering, we're going to add those 2 blocks of the ramen noodles, cook it for about 3 minutes. That beeping sound tells us that it's going to start heating up. We're going to add these ramen noodles, and as soon as they soften, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, continue stirring the whole time. Once they're soft and ready to go, then we're ready to serve. Serve it in a bowl, a little bit of fresh lime on the side, some fresh cilantro to garnish, and you've got an amazing Thai chicken noodle soup. So there you go. That was our series. I want to thank Russ and I want to thank Ashley for their parts in this wonderful series on Instant Pot as we are launching the first Grapevine Culinary Institute. I hope you get a chance to try some of these recipes. And stay tuned because this is just the beginning. As we move forward with this Culinary Institute, we're going to continue with classes. We're going to continue with online when we get back in person. And I hope that's going to be sooner than later. But when we do get back in person, we'll have in-person classes as well. We're going to have ways for this opportunity to reach out to those of need in our community. The next series that will be coming up will be about crock pots and slow cookers, of which, of course, an Instant Pot can also operate as a slow cooker, but we're going to do the traditional crock pot things. Some slow cooking things that you start in the morning, let cook all day, and then come back to it. So I hope that you've enjoyed this series. I hope that you appreciate this new Culinary Institute that we're launching, because I really do feel strongly that when we gather together, even as within our small groups during this time of social distancing, we are still just doing so much to continue to build the community of faith that is so important. And one thing that brings us all together is food. And so I think that's an important part of us as a church family. I'm excited to be a part of this. I look forward to continuing to that. And I know I've said this a lot, but don't forget, as we come to an end of this series, don't forget to let us know that you've been watching. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have enjoyed doing this for you. So until we see you next time with our next series, stay home, eat everything, and eat well.